Have you ever realized that when you begin to evolve, truly evolve, it unsettles the people around you? They won't say it directly. Instead, they'll laugh it off, offer helpful advice, or go quiet the moment you speak from a deeper place. But underneath it all, what's really happening is this. Your growth challenges their comfort. Your shift disrupts their complacency. Maybe this is exactly what you're facing now. You've started questioning the unquestionable. You no longer move on autopilot. And suddenly you're the odd one out. Misunderstood. Judged. Isolated. No one warns you about this. But nature understood it perfectly. Mental strength doesn't come cheap. It's forged in tension by standing apart. Not just any strength, but a raw, unsettling power that makes people squirm, without you even having to say a word. Because when you wake up, you become a mirror. And not everyone is ready to face what's reflected. Why does this happen? Because a powerful mind is a threat. A threat to herd thinking. A threat to systems built on comfort. A threat to your former self. This message? It's not for the comfortable. It's for you, the one who feels like something within is breaking, shifting, transforming. The one ready to build something untouchable. A mind that can't be bent. A presence that can't be manipulated. A strength that doesn't ask for permission. If that's the path you're drawn to, this lonely, brutal, but utterly liberating path, then keep listening. Because nature is about to challenge you and set you free. You won't think the same after this. Nietzsche wasn't just a philosopher. He was a soul surgeon. He stared into the chaos that others avoided and found power there. He believed that transformation doesn't happen in peace. It happens in the fall. Not in stillness, but in suffering. He once wrote, "You must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star." That's not just poetic, it's clinical. It means true power is born in adversity. Not from comfort. Not from affirmations. From pain. The moment you stop wishing life would be easier and start wishing to be stronger, that's when everything shifts. Think about the times you grew most. Were they when life was smooth? Or when you were torn apart, stripped of everything and forced to rebuild? Nietzsche didn't glorify pain. He harnessed it. If you can learn to shift your relationship with failure, with loneliness, with rejection, you begin to shape something rare, an indomitable soul. And when you reach that place, others will notice. Not because you seek attention, but because you disrupt the norm simply by existing. While most hide from chaos, you'll walk in it. While they cling to mediocrity, you'll chase greatness. But to do that, you'll need to destroy everything you were told about strength. Strength isn't smiling through it all. It's not pretending you're fine. It's surviving the unbearable and coming out sharper than ever. But Nietzsche knew something else. Chaos alone is not enough. Without a core, chaos will destroy you. That's why in the next part we'll talk about Nietzsche's most radical idea, when he killed God, and placed the full burden of meaning onto you. Because when there's no longer a sky to look up to, you must become the source of light yourself. If this speaks to you, subscribe. Because we're just getting started. When Nietzsche declared, "God is dead," he wasn't celebrating. He was issuing a warning. He wasn't attacking a deity. He was destroying the illusion. The illusion that someone up there is guiding everything. That suffering has a purpose written by someone else. That life comes with a prepackaged meaning. He ripped that comfort away, violently, and stared you in the face with the raw truth. There is no grand plan. No external savior. No higher voice dictating your next move. There's only you. And that's where most people fall apart. Because once there's no one left to blame, once the sky falls silent, you're forced to step into terrifying territory, radical freedom. This is where the real mind is born. Not the kind that follows commandments, but the kind that creates values. Not the kind that asks, "What should I do?" but the one that decides, "What is worthy of me?" This is the genesis of a dangerous mind. Not dangerous in violence, but dangerous in its autonomy. And that's what Nietzsche meant. No more excuses. No more meaning handed down from the heavens. Now, you are the creator. And yes, this freedom will scare you. It will isolate you. It will demand you rise without applause, without safety nets. But in exchange, you gain something immeasurable. Sovereignty. A fire ignites inside you. You no longer follow because you're told to. You act because you chose to. You rise because no one else can lift you. This, Nietzsche said, is the beginning of something far greater. The birth of a new kind of human. One who does not obey but transcends. Who does not ask for acceptance but forges their own identity. who doesn't live by the herd's morality, but creates a personal code so powerful it frightens the crowd. He gave this being a name, the Übermensch, the Overman. Let's talk about him. Because if you want to build a mind so unshakable that nothing can break it, you must understand how to become the one who lives above the norm, guided only by their will to power. Nietzsche didn't believe in slow, polite progress. He believed in rupture, in destruction, in rebirth. That's why he envisioned the Übermensch, not as a superhero, but as a human who has burned down everything false and risen from the ashes of their own lies. The Übermensch is not someone who obeys, not someone who waits for permission. He does not seek to be accepted. He does not bow. He creates his own code and lives by it, even if the entire world opposes him. That's why he is unbreakable, because his strength is not borrowed. It's not based on approval. It comes from within. He doesn't wait to be crowned. He crowns himself. This is the essence of the Übermensch: self-law, self-worth, self-direction. He doesn't adapt to the world, he molds it. He doesn't ask, is this allowed? He asks, is this worthy of me? And this shift changes everything, because the moment you stop being a servant and start seeing yourself as a creator, your mind begins to evolve. You no longer seek safety. You seek truth. You no longer ask for applause. You walk in silence, unshaken. But make no mistake, this evolution comes at a cost. You will have to destroy parts of yourself. The ones still begging for validation. The ones addicted to comfort. The ones terrified of being misunderstood. You'll feel the sting of isolation. You'll carry the weight of self-creation. And most people, they won't survive this. They'll retreat. Back to the herd. Back to the mask. Back to the beliefs they never chose but inherited. But if you can endure it, the pain, the solitude, the void, you begin to shape something no one can touch. And Nietzsche knew this all too well. He was called mad, misunderstood, abandoned. But in that wilderness he found his truth. He found his power. And so will you. Because the stronger your mind becomes, the farther you drift from the crowd, the higher you rise, the more your silence becomes a disturbance. Becoming the Übermensch is the most violent, sacred, and transformative journey you will ever face, because it demands you destroy everything you didn't choose and rebuild yourself from nothing. But here's the truth. This reconstruction does not happen in noise. It happens in the stillness of solitude, in the quiet distance where the herd dares not follow. And that's why in the next part, we're going to explore the most neglected power of all, the solitude of the strong. Because if you truly want to become unshakable, you must first learn to walk alone. There's something no one tells you about mental strength. The stronger you become, the lonelier the path becomes. Not because you choose to be alone, but because the world no longer knows what to do with you. Nietzsche understood this perfectly. The free spirit, the one who breaks away from ready-made truths, is always forced to walk ahead, alone. And yes, it hurts, but that pain is necessary. Because you can't grow while clinging to the crowd. You can't evolve while shackled to approval. Most people don't realize they live inside an invisible herd, where every thought is filtered, every word calculated to maintain belonging. You've been taught to walk in a group, to feel safe in numbers, to find comfort in sameness. But nature? He does the opposite. He rips you away from the herd and throws you into the desert. And in that desert, there's no applause, no validation, no one cheering you on. There's just you, your doubts, your wounds, your fear, and your refusal to give up. That's where the real test begins. Because most people, when faced with this void, will run back to their masks, back to comfort, back to pretending. But if you want to be unbreakable, you must stay. You must learn to endure the silence that reveals who you really are. Nietzsche once wrote, "The individual must always struggle, not to be overwhelmed by the tribe." And that struggle? It is brutal. It is raw. But it is also the birthplace of true power. Because once you possess yourself, no one else can possess you. No one can control your worth. No one can dictate your truth. No one can break you. But here's the price. You will be misunderstood. They'll call you arrogant, cold, weird, detached. Why? Because you stopped being available for their illusions. You no longer fit the mold. And that's the price of freedom. That's the price of no longer living as a reflection of others' expectations. Here's the harsh truth. If you can't stand being alone, You're not ready to be free. Because all true freedom requires abandonment. The abandonment of validation, of comfort, of shallow friendships held together by mutual delusion. And Nietzsche saw solitude not as a punishment, but as a sacred ground, a battlefield, where your real self finally rises. But once you rise, you don't just walk alone. You begin to see what others can't. And that vision awakens a second, unavoidable consequence. You become a threat, not by attacking, but by existing. Your strength reflects their weakness. Your clarity reveals their confusion. Your difference disturbs their comfort. And that's what we'll confront in the next part. The threat of collective mediocrity. Because make no mistake, when you break free, the herd will feel it, and they will react. The world doesn't chase those who conform. It comes after the ones who dare to stand out. Nietzsche didn't fear tyrants. He feared something far more insidious. Collective mediocrity. Not the dictators above, but the obedient masses around you. The quiet consensus that says, stay small, think like us, don't make us uncomfortable. Because the moment your mind sharpens, your spirit stiffens, your presence becomes undeniable, you become a disruption. Not because you did something wrong, but because you did something rare. You broke the pattern. You reminded them of what they're not doing. You made their excuses harder to swallow. In society, it doesn't like that. It doesn't punish you openly. It whispers, stares, excludes. It makes you question yourself. Am I too much? Am I wrong for thinking differently? But the truth is, you're necessary. Because when the world is built on recycled thoughts and manufactured desires, the one who dares to think freely becomes a spark. A threat, yes, but also the beginning of something new. And here's the dirty secret of society. It doesn't want to save the weak. It wants to destroy the strong. It disguises resentment as morality. It turns strength into arrogance, ambition into selfishness, independence into coldness. This is what Nietzsche called slave morality, a value system born not out of virtue, but out of envy, a system built by those who couldn't rise. So they flipped the script. They made weakness a badge of honor, and turned greatness into a crime. So when you begin to liberate yourself, they won't always attack you directly. They'll weaponize silence, sarcasm, concern. But the message will be clear. Go back. You're making us feel small. And the irony? You didn't try to disturb them. You just stopped hiding. Nietzsche saw this. Most people live inside quiet conformity, lives shaped by fear, shame, and obedience. And the moment you question it, you become dangerous. But mediocrity doesn't come at you with force. It comes with numbers, with repetition, with the pressure to shrink. It tries to convince you that you're wrong for refusing to fit in. It uses guilt. It uses shame. It uses loneliness. And most people, they fold. They'd rather be accepted than awakened. But Nietzsche would give you another name. Necessary. Because while the masses chase comfort, you are the one who brings friction. You are the disturbance that allows something new to emerge. Your strength will always be a target, but it will also be the catalyst for transformation. To think freely, to live freely, to exist without needing permission. This is not just rebellion. It is war. A war against collective mediocrity. And like all wars, it demands weapons, not of steel, but of mind. Which brings us to the final chapter. The true cost and the untouchable reward of becoming unbreakable. If you've made it this far, you're already different. Most people would have closed this video at the first discomfort. They'd run at the first inner tremor. They'd click away. Because this isn't the kind of content that strokes the ego. This is a mirror. And most can't stand to look into it. Because becoming unbreakable is not a trend. It's a renunciation. You will lose things. You'll lose shallow friendships held together by convenience. You'll lose opportunities that require you to stay small. You'll lose the ability to be satisfied with mediocrity. But in return, you gain something priceless. Integrity, clarity, presence. You begin to see things others don't. You notice how the world lives half asleep, while your eyes are wide open. You realize your silence speaks louder than the noise of the many. Your stillness begins to unsettle entire rooms. But make no mistake, this strength wasn't handed to you. It didn't come from quotes, books, or fleeting motivation. It was carved out of your soul. Forged in nights when no one was watching. Shaped in moments where you chose truth over comfort. This is not self-help. This is self-construction. A war between who you used to be and who you are becoming. A war with no end, because the truly strong don't arrive. They continue, even when they could stop. Nietzsche never wanted followers. He wanted earthquakes. He wanted to shake you out of sleep, to make you stop crawling for validation, stop begging for meaning, stop outsourcing your soul to systems built for obedience. He wanted you to become dangerous, not in violence, but in presence, so rare that your very existence becomes a mirror in which others must face their own cowardice. And now I ask something of you, not just to listen, but to act. Write in the comments a truth you're tired of hiding, an opinion you've buried to stay liked, a thought that isolates you, but defines you. This is how the construction begins, by declaring yourself, by saying, I will no longer bend. And if something inside you stirred during this video, if some forgotten fire flickered again, don't let it die here. The next video is waiting. It continues what we've started. And if you've come this far, you know this isn't just entertainment. This is a threshold. Something in you is changing. Don't run from it. Walk deeper. You're not alone. You're just ahead. And that is terrifying. But it's also the beginning of everything.